morning. Good morning, beautiful people. How are you? How's it going? Happy Monday. Today is August 10th, 2020. I cannot believe this month is moving by so quickly. We're almost to the halfway mark. And then you know what happens. It's back to school, or is it? That's the question. So many things changing and going on, and what's going on in your neck of the woods with the school thing? I'm interested to know. I'm Loren Michaels Harris, your host today, and every day, Monday through Friday, right here, as we live stream all over the place. Thank you, E360 TV, and I want to say good morning and a happy Monday to my sponsors for the month, the Emperor's Medicine, and also Nikki's of Naperville. So glad to be here with you guys. How was your weekend? Um, really nice weather here. Hot, hot, hot during the day. I heard on the West Coast it was absolutely sweltering. And then in the evenings here, just so comfortable. We had family here. It was nice. We spent a lot of time out on the deck, and the breeze was going through the leaves, and just really nice. Can't complain. Can't complain. How are things in your neck of the woods? That's the Bell of Purpose for those of you who aren't aware. This is new to season 4, and what it means, it's your chance, it's your opportunity to become a part of something greater than yourself. Now, why is that important? It just is. Get out of yourself and get into the world. Make a difference with people, one person at a time. So when you hear that bell, it means that our guest, who today is Janet Ramos. I want to say Jeanette, but I read it carefully and I know that it is Janet. Is that right? No? She's shaking her head no. See, I thought I was being all clever. And so I can see her in the green room. I have hidden cameras all over the place. Why? Because it's just nice to spy on people. I'm just saying. No, okay, so it is Jeanette. It's spelled like, okay, we're gonna talk about that because I bet people think it's something else. Maybe not. Anyway, she's been here before. Matter of fact, her youngest son, I had to make sure I had him right. Her youngest son was here just last week. A dose of Dano. Remember him? Yeah, he was here. And they've both been here before, but now Jeanette has a brand new book. Where's Mom? Against All Odds, Making the Most of Single Parenthood. And we're going to talk about that and what prompted the book and all of that good stuff. So let me just run down. Robert Garcia is here tomorrow. And man, you guys don't want to miss that. He's a warrior. You'll see why tomorrow. And before we get into the show, I want to, because I want to get this in there. I'm so excited about Wednesday night when we will have Rose Hill and Charlie Hill from America's Got Talent. They will be here Wednesday night for Bathrobe Moments After Dark. You'll see a clip about that during the break at the bottom of the hour. So the book. Jeanette says on the very back, she says, if I can do it, so can you. This book was written for you, the single parent. Then she has in parentheses, mother. But I invited 3 single dads to watch today. I figured they could benefit from that too. She says, who doesn't know that the life and direction of her child or his child is in his or her hands? Nobody ever said raising children would be easy, and it's not. But the crucial part in raising children is to be a part of their lives, and I couldn't agree more. This is important to me because I had 22 moms. So where's mom 22? 24? No, 16, 18. Mom 13. I was going to say 13. Lord Jesus. So anyway, what's the situation with single parenthood in the United States? Well, I'll tell you. Over 15 million single parents. Last time they took a census of that. That means that, and 80% of those 15 million single parents are led by single moms. So they are the majority, of course. And what that really boils down to, the most important number of all, that means that equates to over 22 million children in the United States alone who are being raised without a father. And takes 2 to make them. Why is it so easy to only have 1 to raise them? So that's why Jeanette's written the book, and to give all of you who need a head up, a hand up, and some support and encouragement when raising your children by yourself, something to look into, something to let you know you're not alone. So I know she's back in makeup and hair. Is she still trying on evening gowns? Okay. Oh, you found one.
I did. I
Well,
happened to
that's a
find
sleek,
one.
slender, nice little ditty.
Well,
Um,
thank you. No bathrobe this morning, as I
I
had for the
guess
last
not.
time.
Who wants to cover all that up?
Well, unfortunately, I have a funeral I have to go to this morning, so
Oh no.
hence where the black comes in. I would have been all bright and colorful, but
Oh, okay. Well,
it's
we're
life.
sorry for the loss of whomever that may
It's
be.
a cousin. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, sure thing. Well, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's
It's
life been
nice to
treating
be
you?
back. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, as always.
Of course. So tell us, what have you been up to outside? We'll get to the book, but what have you been up to?
Um, well, I'm trying to start some other things. I want to do some motivational speaking. So I'm also working on compiling email lists, doing some sidebar training. As you're aware, when you're doing these kinds of projects, you can't do it alone. We all need a mentor or somebody that's out there that can help us, guide us in that direction. And for
Sure.
me, this is relatively new. So, just trying to be a sponge and absorb everything I possibly can.
Okay.
So
Okay.
aside from that, working out, still being a mom, just living. In
Dealing with all
times
this
like this,
quarantine,
yeah, what
COVID, and
else
all
can you
that.
do? What else can you do? You got to
Yeah.
live, right?
Yeah. That's right. And I find it interesting. How how long did it take you to write this book?
It took me, I want to say about 3 months. I procrastinated. In addition to that, I let the book sit for practically about 5 years. And how that came about was we self doubt. We doubt ourselves. I didn't think.
Now, where'd your voice go?
Where did my what?
There you are.
Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
of a sudden, you got to repeat whatever that last passage
Oh,
was.
I basically said that the book, it took me about 3 months to write the book. However, it sat about 5 years, and that
Yeah.
was due to self doubt, not thinking the book was ready, not knowing. And basically, one day I spoke to the man upstairs and I said, "Hey, I've written this book. It's been sitting for about 5 years. What do you want me to do with it? Is it meant to go out to be seen? Does the world need to see this? What's my message?" 2 days later, I get a call from someone, Emilio Roman. You know who
Oh,
he
yeah.
is.
Of course.
And basically left me a voicemail saying, "Hey, I know you have a message to share to the world. Reach out to me. Let's discuss this." And that was basically it in a nutshell, how that got started. But the book sat for about 5 years.
Okay. So you're speaking of the spiritual warrior,
Yeah, spiritual fitness.
spiritual fitness warrior. And then after that, then you wrote this book.
Yes. So what
Okay.
I did was I had a chapter in the spiritual fitness book and provided them with just one chapter, but the book had already been written. It just,
Oh,
yeah, my book had already been written. I just got the opportunity to meet and engage with Emilio Roman and just share a piece of my story. And then from there, like I said, we worked on getting the book published, and the rest is history.
oh,
So
that's awesome. Awesome. Well, congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
Um, I was reading the book, and thank you for sending me an advance copy. Who
Absolutely.
who's the person that wrote your forward? I couldn't find their name. They did a
It
wonderful job.
That was Emilio Roman's wife, Daniela Roman.
Oh, Danielle wrote it. Okay,
Daniela
no wonder
Roman,
it flowed so well.
yes, you had the pleasure of meeting her as well.
I did. Okay, awesome. So one of the first, I want to a couple things I highlighted in here, and then we're gonna let you take the lead here. I found this interesting in your acknowledgement. You say to all those men whom I dated and just didn't make the cut to help me, and they just didn't make the cut to help me raise my children. Thank you, as this was my path to raise them on my own. I thought that was pretty cool
Yeah,
that you acknowledge you were trying, you were looking. So were you when let's talk about that for a second. When you had the two boys, or you had one boy and then the next one came, uh 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 is it Luis and Daniel?
yes, Louis
Okay,
and Daniel. Louis
Luis and
and
Daniel.
yes.
Okay, so were you, when you were out there dating as a single mom, were you actually like secretly like looking for a dad?
I no, I was never actually looking for a dad. I was at one point, dating. Let's be honest, nobody wants to be alone. Nobody wants to be
No.
single, especially at such a young age. So you're out there dating. I wasn't looking for a father per se. As a matter of fact, it was the total opposite. In my mind, um, they had to go through a series of questions and surveys, and just I had to feel them out in the beginning, months, even if I thought about introducing them to my children. So, with that being said, I was very skeptical. I just didn't want, with today's society, a man coming in and
Yeah,
basically telling me what I need to do with my own children, laying his hands on them, any type of physical abuse, sexual abuse, things of that nature. So, I was always leery. But yes, in terms of dating, if I dated or went out on a couple dates, it was outside of the home, and just basically kept it like that. So when I say about those men who I was involved with, it just
sure.
they didn't make the cut. It
Right.
it, it wasn't meant.
Hey, did you ever how did you ever invite and introduce any of the guys you were seeing to your kids? And what do you think is an appropriate amount of time before you introduce someone you're dating to your children as a single mom?
Well, like I mentioned, I did they were introduced to someone that I had met, and that person I had met, I would say about 6 months around
Mm-hmm.
that time.
Okay.
And that was a gradual thing, Lauren. Like I said, it's not something that happened right off the bat. But interesting story with that particular individual, which kind of goes back to everything I discuss in this book, is that that particular individual had issues with his mother. He wasn't raised by his mother. So in turn, there couldn't be a relationship, a long-term relationship there because there were just issues that he had to deal with. He had issues with females, but you know, that's life.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about when you're a young mom and let's say let's use Lewis for an example. Say he's two. How old was he when you left Connecticut to go back on your own when you left the dad?
Lewis was about
Lewis.
4. He was going on 5 years of age. Yes.
Okay, so how did you explain to him that daddy wasn't going to be in the picture? And what do you feel is the hardest part about explaining to a little one without because a lot of women I know this is true because I've talked to some dads, some good dads, who for whatever reason, and sometimes it's like the mom will kind of poison, will say, and you had
Yes.
good reason. I
Yes.
mean, he wasn't doing the right thing, but that's still the kid's dad. So, and you're a social worker and also you see this all the
Oh,
time.
absolutely, all the time.
So, how important do you think it is? Because that's a pretty tenuous thing there.
It
If you've
really
got a
is.
person, a dad who's out there doing the wrong things and stealing
Absolutely.
and going to
Yeah.
jail and using drugs, you're not supposed to glorify that persona.
No, absolutely not. On the
Talk
contrary.
about that. What's the right way? Is
The
there a
right
right way?
way, the right way. Well, let me back it up and talk about Lewis. Lewis was 4 years of age. His concern when we left the state of Connecticut was more so he had a bond with his cousins. And he was very mature for a 4-year-old, believe it or not. So he cried his eyeballs out when we
Oh.
left the state of Connecticut. And that was more important to him than the relationship with his father.
So
Now,
was that just real quick for clarification point? So I'm assuming since you're from the area you now where you live here on the East Coast, was the Connecticut side the dad's family? Those cousins you were
yes,
mentioning?
absolutely. Yes. His side of the family lived there. So
Just so
that's
I'm
why.
just for my curiosity, nosiness. So are the boys today? Is Lewis connected with those cousins he cried about? Are they
Um,
still? Are they still?
on Facebook, but it's not that type of close connection,
Okay.
unfortunately. A lot of
Okay.
things transpired since then, and I
Okay.
basically didn't go back, so that was my fault.
I
But
get
they
it.
do know how to connect with each
Chief
other.
teacher. Okay, great.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Um, but then, in addition to that, when I traveled to New Jersey with the two boys, I never said anything negative about their father. And you're right when you mentioned that, Lauren. I mean, it was a complicated situation. So basically, what I would tell them was that their father was ill, that he had issues, that
Mm.
he
Uh-oh. Okay, she'll be right back. Hold on one second. Jeanette Ramos, she's using an iPad, and sometimes this pen just fell out of there where I had it marked. I gotta do this. Sometimes that happens. So she'll be right back. She knows how to find her way back. I saw her dropping breadcrumbs. So she'll be right back. We're talking today with Jeanette Ramos. She is a licensed social worker, in the New Jersey area, and she's written this wonderful book. Where's Mom? Okay, and she's back. Let me get her back in here. Okay, now I see you, but I don't hear you. Jeanette, can you hear me? Okay, she said 1 second. Okay, so I'm gonna let her figure that out real quick, you guys. And I know you can hear me, Jeanette. So go ahead, do what you need to do. I really like this on the back. This is my favorite, one of my favorite parts of the book. Is that on the back? I'll move it up to the camera. You can see both of her sons over here. Single mom there. She hasn't changed at all. And here they are as strapping young men right there. Um, excuse me. Wow. And little Danny, he looks like he grew up to be bigger than his big brother. Isn't that interesting how kids do that? Take the lead. So Jeanette's still getting it together. I'm eating a banana. I'm Lauren Michaels Harris. You know what we're gonna do? Why don't we take this second? Good morning, Christopher Bologna. And I want you to know, Chris, I was totally going to wear the shirt you sent me for Project Sebastian all week, and I wore it uh, twice this weekend during our family visit. And during the hustle line out on our deck, uh, an appletini found its way down the front of my shirt. So it's actually wasn't me who did it. Tell my niece Selma. Shaking my head. We're gonna go to break now while Jeanette gets her live stream connection together, and then we'll come back with the rest of the interview with Jeanette Ramos, and I'll try to finish this banana because I know I'm making y'all hungry, right? Um, I want to mention something before we go to this short break. I'm going to, hopefully, I'm going to do my best to get there this weekend, Salt Lake City, Utah, for the Slave Free Project, where they're holding a rally and a march, a peaceful demonstration, if you will, to bring awareness and enlightenment to the need for us to do something to eradicate child trafficking in our country and the world at large. So you're going to see that one, and also the promo for this Wednesday's Bathrobe Moments After Dark, where my guest will be Rose and Charlie Hill from America's Got Talent fame. And Rose is a Hollywood makeup artist working with. She's worked with almost every major star, been nominated for some huge, huge awards in her lifetime, and they'll both be here telling their story Wednesday night. But we're going to go to break and come back and pick up where we left off with Jeanette Ramos, author of the book, Where's Mom? Be right back.
When I saw you, I would lose control. Made me feel like there was no tomorrow. Should've told you that you're beautiful, but the days pass and now it's so long ago. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too.
why I love Charles and Rose.
Simon, I think you're so handsome.
Rosie, you are a little minx, aren't you?
Thank you, Simon.
They're hysterical. I don't think they're trying to be hysterical.
Viva Las Vegas!
Okay.
I'm back. So sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
That's okay. That's live television for you. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank
we
you.
are
My
back.
apologies.
Yep. So for those of you out there watching, welcome back. You are in the middle of Bathrobe Moments, and I'm your host, Loren Michaels Harris. Welcome to the Monday edition with my guest, Jeanette Ramos, author of the book, Where's Mom? So before we went to break, I was getting into the meat of the book, and let me just, before I pick the book up, you know, it catches my eye more often than I would like to admit. But and I'm going to paint the picture for everybody out there, and I want you to take us back to when that was you. And that picture that I'm talking about is when you're at the grocery store or you're somewhere out, a strip mall or wherever, and you see, even like at the laundromat. I remember laundromat days. Everybody was there. You all remember you didn't always have a washer and dryer at home. And you see that mom with 2 or 3 kids in tow. She's got the bags. She's got her purse. She's a baby's crying. Another one's down here pulling on her. And I'm always amazed at how I'm like, that mom has every hand full. She's doing this, opening the door with her foot, using her chin to hold something up to, the baby's bottle in his mouth or something. Just amazing. And when you really watch and you see all that it takes, I always wonder, did she learn that through some kind of a YouTube video? Is it a natural thing? What is it? But I tell you what, that they get my props right then and there. And that's nothing. That's just going to the store. That's nothing compared to all the things that are on their plate as a single mother in everyday life. So, Danette, do you remember that picture when getting them all in their seats in the car? And
I had several of those situations, Loren, and basically I would give them the look. There was a look that if they started acting out, they would get it. So I was fortunate enough that on top of having to lug them around and do the laundry and go shopping, to ensure that they were well behaved. And I know that's difficult for parents at times. Sometimes at the age of 2, you got these tantrums. Kids want toys. They want all kinds of things. And then when you say no, they start acting out in front of others. So it could be a little embarrassing. And I remember some of those days. But again, it's having those conversations with your children early on and saying, hey, we're going to go here. But just make sure that you behave and you don't ask for anything along with that look.
Well, when you see that kind of a single mom, does it ever take you back where you sit there and you kind of get frozen, stuck for a moment, and you're like, man, I remember that. Because they may make it look easy, but it's not easy, is it?
It's not easy. And in addition to that, what you don't want is, the parents, the mother getting frustrated that now, like I said, in addition to everything that she's going through, now she's got to worry about the child acting out, because it's frustrating and it could be embarrassing. So yes, I have gone back to those moments where it brings me back in time. And like I said, I was fortunate enough. They were just well behaved. So
let's talk about the real casualty, if we could. And again, being a social worker, I'm sure you can understand this. That's why I just love the fact that you wrote this book. 22 million kids or more in this country currently, 2020. Being raised without a dad. How important do you feel it is? Is there a difference in the the outcome of a person, say at the age of 18? Do you think it's different for people that have had two parents as opposed to those who have had one? Or does it depend on the way the single parent did things?
I think it's a double part combination. I think it's important to have two parent household raise their kids, but with that being said, it's raising them. It's not saying, okay, you're physically there, but you're not emotionally there. So that's important versus having a, let's say single mom or single dad where, he or she is doing everything, but they are not only physically there, but emotionally there. So that's the key in all of this, Loren. It's not the fact that you don't have to have a double parent household. It's about just ensuring that you give the children the time that they deserve and need, because
Right.
that's right there. It's being involved. It's being nosy. It's knowing
Yeah.
what the child is doing practically all the time.
So how do you feel about co-parenting? Parents that don't live under the same roof but are sharing the responsibilities.
I give props to those parents who are able to do that. I was not fortunate in that department, so I give props to the parents who do co-parent. But I just want to mention something, and it's not discounting a father's role in the situation. But remember, children are 9 months in their mother's womb, and that connection starts with the female. It starts with the mother. So
Yeah.
a mother's role is so vital, not to discount again a father's role, but it's and you can attest to this, having been in different homes,
Yeah.
having
22 of them.
20
Yeah.
different mothers. If you could change something about that, I'm sure it would probably be to have been raised by your mother, correct? Having
Yeah.
that relationship that was so important as a child. So two parent household, yes, definitely important. Presence is the key. Dedication to your children is the vital key point in all of this. And mothers are definitely important. And think about your friends and family and those relationships that they either have with their mother or they don't. So
Right.
it's
I don't know where exactly it was, but I remember somewhere in the book, because I read it over the weekend, somewhere near the beginning, you say something uh about raising two males.
two males.
And excuse me, yeah. And so let's talk about that for a second if we could. Um, do you feel this is a two-part question. Do you feel that it's easier to raise a male over a female? And that's part one. It's part two is uh, how do you feel? Some people think that a boy needs his dad, a boy needs a male influence, and that sort of thing. Do you feel, as a single mom, having been a single mom, were you able to play the role of the father too?
Yes. So the first part of the question, I mean, that he wasn't around. I don't know how to say it other than you just had to do what you had to do. Raising a boy versus raising a girl, is there a difference? I'm not so sure. I think yes, and maybe this is a biased opinion, but I think boys, they're more headstrong and they need more direction and guidance than females. And females, for the most part, I believe are the stronger genes
Oh, do you now?
than males. I believe that we are. So
Okay,
with that
okay,
being said, I do find that boys are the ones that are harder to raise but need more direction.
okay.
Um, I have to say too that if I had had a daughter, I probably would have been tougher on her than what I was with my boys, because we're strong. Females have a tendency to be strong. We bear children. What else can I tell you, Loren?
Right, right. I get it. I get it.
That.
So,
Go ahead.
so do you feel like did you ever find yourself when your boys, let's say they were approaching puberty, 12, 13, that sort of thing? Was it difficult? Excuse me, was it difficult to have some of those talks with them that traditionally the dad would
Yes.
take the kid out and say, "Now listen, son."
Right.
How did that go?
And that goes back to your second part question. I mean,
Right.
I had to do fatherly things. I had to do things like teach them how to ride a bike at 3 years old. I had to take them to their football practices and lacrosse practices and do things that it would have been better. Have those talks, as you talk about those talks about puberty and what's going on. But again, and this goes back, and I talk about this in the book, is having open communication with your children. There should not be any topic that you don't have a discussion with your children about. You need
Good
to
point.
know what's going on.
Yeah.
Whether it's they like a girl, they like a boy, it does not matter what it is. You need to have those conversations at a young age. In turn, your children will have that confidence to be able to come to you and tell you anything.
And trust.
Trust. It's trust. And I was always one to have any kind of conversation with my children. And just on a side
Mhm.
note, their friends would say, "Wow, your mom is
Mhm.
so cool." I wish I
Mhm.
could have those kind of conversations with my mom, or I wish I could do that with my mom. Even till this day, I'm able to hang out with the boys, and their friends think I'm a cool mom. And it's not about being your children's friend. So let me clarify that.
Yeah.
You're a mother first. So,
A lot of people get that screwed up.
yeah, don't get it screwed up. You're not your child's friend when they're growing up. You are their mother. And
Mhm.
you ensure that what you do with your children is, it's all for their betterment. So that when
Right.
they become adults, they're able to handle their own
Right.
matters, and you can establish a friendship with your child. But in the
Yes,
meantime,
absolutely.
growing up, you are a mother. You are not their friend. They are not your friends.
Right. Right. I agree with that. I agree with that. Now, before we go even deeper into the book, I have a question. As a mother of two males, and they're in their 20s, early 20s, and you don't just have two sons, you have two sons of color. And in today's world, with all the things that are going on, not just the pandemic, but of course, I'm alluding to the social distress and whatnot regarding, men of color and their situation with police and profiling and the difference of treatment between our young men of color and anyone else. What do you say about that? And are you ever worried because you have two young men of color out there who, anything could go any kind of direction?
Yes, absolutely. As a mother, whether you're white, black, Chinese, it doesn't matter. A mother will always worry about her son or daughter. So let's
Mhm.
clarify that.
Sure.
Yeah, when you're, of a different nationality, you
There's
worry.
this is a real thing,
It's a
and
reality.
it is germane to men of color. It's a fact.
It's a fact, and you can't hide it, and it is what it is. But I think Dan had mentioned this last week on your show when he
Right.
said,
I asked him point blank.
you asked him, and I'm going to agree with him in the sense that if you're respectful to a person in position, a law enforcement, if you have a way of yes sir, no sir, and just following the rules for the most part, you shouldn't have any issues. Is it always going to be on the back of your brain? Absolutely, but you treat people with respect regardless. And that's how I've taught my boys to be. You treat anybody of any race the way you would want to be treated. And that
Sure.
still holds true till today. So yes, it's out there. You
Mhm.
pray over your kids that, they are not in those types of situations, but respect the law and pray for the best, hope for the best. And, if and when a situation of that sort does come about, you handle it in the best way that you possibly can.
Okay.
Two wrongs don't make it right.
Correct. I get it. I get it. So I have also marked something in the book. Pretty bold statement from your side of the table. So I want you to talk about this. Um, what chapter? Well, I'm on page 30, and you say, "This is the key," and you capitalize the word key. So it's pretty important. This is the key to raising children, whether with or without another parent. It is not about material things, what you seek, or how much money in the world you have. It's about self identity and belonging to a circle of another life. That's the part that stood out to me. Can you talk about that? What did you mean when you said belonging to a circle of another life?
Another life, that life being the life of the person that brought you into this world, your mother, that life. You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the materialistic things that a child wants, or think about it in the sense today. People that are constantly working, men and females that are constantly working to forget about their past, to forget about their upbringing, and they have all this money in the world, anything, houses, cars, and they're unhappy.
Mhm.
Let's take that unhappiness back to their childhood. And that's where it starts. And that's why a mother raising her child is so important, because you could live under a rock so long as you have your mother there. So
Hmm.
long as she gives you direction, so long, even if it's negative attention that a mother gives a child, which is not what I'm promoting, but a child would rather have that than to live or being raised by somebody else and having to revert back to trying to find out who he was, his identity, his family, his upbringing, and of course other questions as it relates to, well, why did this happen to me? Why didn't my mom raise me? What
Yeah.
happened? So, without going too much into detail, because this could get really deep,
Yeah.
that is that particular situation. It's all about being raised by that your number one fan, that number one female.
That's true. That's
And
true.
and I'm not saying things that aren't true. It's not my opinion. And for those viewers, thinking about their own past and their own upbringing, you think about, if
Hmm.
your mother or if you don't have your mother, and what types of problems or dysfunction that has caused in your upbringing or in your relationships, or
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
Okay. Well, I got a question for you. And it's a part of the question actually originates from my own journey. I know when I met my birth mother at age 32, she said that one of the number one reason she allowed uh, my adoptive mom to take me was that she didn't want to go on welfare with her other four children, and she didn't want to keep living in the projects, and she just wanted a better life. Um, Talk about that mindset. You went to college, you got your bachelor's, you then got a master's, all while being a single mother. And it didn't have to be that road. You could have easily said, well, it might make it a little easier if I just get some aid or get some food stamps or whatever. And I don't know, did you? Did you ever? Were you tempted? Did you ever have to go in and get some help? And
Yeah.
what is that? How that's a tenuous road, if you ask me, because it can make a person start believing or encourage them that this is your fate in life, or you can use it as a hand up instead of a hand out to move forward and through. How was it for you? And what about it do you think could be a pitfall that women, young single mothers, need to watch out for?
Well, to answer your first question, yes, I did get assistance years ago when they were younger. So when I moved back from Connecticut to New
Hmm.
Jersey, I needed a little boost. And while looking for work, I had to sustain these kids. So that was not an easy choice. It's not something that I wanted. But versus giving up my children for them to have a better life, who's to say? See, we don't know what the future holds. So for
That's
someone
true.
to say, for a mother to say to give you a better life, monetarily, sure, but I always reverted back to the emotional states and the chaos or the disruption or the emotional roller coaster that your child is going to go through, especially in the teenage years. You
Mhm.
can sustain a child, with gifts and monetary and food, and pacify them when they're babies. But once they hit their teenage years, that's difficult. That's when the acting out behaviors start. That's when
Mhm.
they become aggressive. That's when they figure, well, nobody's really taming me, so let me go out and be this wild animal, because
Mhm.
the first person that was supposed to be here decided to give me a better life per se. And she's not around, or if she is, it's limited, and a lot goes into that. So um, you know financial the financial aspect of it is, yes, it's very important, but like I said, and you could live off a rock so long as you're there taking care of your children. It's it's what we were made to do as mothers, as females. If you're
By
able
any means
to have children,
necessary, keep
by
your
any
kids safe.
means necessary,
Hmm.
take them wherever.
Yeah.
And even if you gave your child to an adoptive mom, let's just say for a month to get yourself together, go back and get your
Excuse me.
child.
Right.
He or she belongs to you. He doesn't belong to the world. And there's a saying that goes, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's true. You need those supports.
Right.
Again, have that primary person that brought you into this world being the one guiding you and protecting you. So
Correct. I get it.
life is tough. I moved back to Camden, one of the poorest city in the world at one point. I don't think it is today, but So I thought I had to think about all those things. And yes, Lauren, it's a sacrifice. So for every mother out there, I'm not saying it's easy.
Mhm.
I'm a prime example that it wasn't easy. Moving to an
But
inner
let's talk about that. Let's talk about when it wasn't easy. Let's talk about that because there could be that young mother out there who's going, yeah, easy for her to say. She's got a college degree and somebody probably helped her with this, but in the background, she can hear a toddler screaming. She's got a newborn. She's breastfeeding right there at the. Let's just paint the picture the way it is for a lot of people. What about what do you say? Because I want to know what made you do this, write this, and what does she look like? What is the person that you wrote this book for? Because I'm assuming it's a combination of a lot of versions of yourself along the way that is who this person is. And
Yeah.
so I want people to understand that you're speaking with people and not at people
Right.
with this book because it's your journey.
Right.
So to talk about that, you know, can you tell us, do you remember when you go back into the recesses of your mind, take us to one of those most difficult moments when Jeanette said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Why is this so hard? Where you felt like there was no one there. It was you and the kids.
Yes.
You had an empty refrigerator. You had an empty bank account. The
Yes.
car was broke down if you had one at all. You know that moment. Talk about that and where you went to find that Xena warrior
Yeah.
spirit that kept you going. Because
Well,
it's one of those situations at a time. You just got to find how to get through each one as they happen. How did you do that? Which one stands out to you?
so I mean, you're talking a couple things here. So going back to the first part about writing the book, it was a combination of course, my own life
Of
experience,
course.
what I was going through. So I'm not talking to mothers or at mothers.
Right.
I'm talking with mothers because this is my journey. This is something that I endured, and it wasn't easy. So I don't go around saying that things are easy. They're not easy. It's a sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice that will reap its rewards in the end, and you'll see that. But
Tell us about one.
so before I get to one, I just want to also say that the reason why I wrote the book as well is because without going too much into detail into the line of work that I do, I work with children. So I would see children who were, birthed and then at the age of 16, 17, not having been raised by their mothers. And as a result of that, what kinds of lives they were leading, which included, gang involvement, killing, jail time, very aggressive and angry. So going back to that question, Lauren, that was the combination that, my own experience raising two males in the city of Camden, plus the line of work that I do and having seen these children and what they were growing into was just the nail to drive it home to say, hey, what makes common sense, this common sense, the mother raising her children. Wow, that's so common. Who doesn't know that? But unfortunately, like you said, it's 22 million children in the world not being raised by their mothers.
Look, that's what one of
What's the
that's one of the
common
first things,
denominator?
right? And my birth mother, Lucille, God rest her soul, would say to me, she goes, "Yeah, people think a lot of this is common sense, but it's not common at all. If it was common, would more people be using it?"
Exactly. So I just wanted to throw that point out because,
Okay,
it's important. So those were the reasons why I wanted to write the book because of
okay.
seeing 19 years in the line of work that I do and having raised two sons in the heart of Camden, where it's drug infested. I would show them on a daily basis or as often as I could, saying, "Hey, you see that guy or that girl over there? That will be you if you don't
Mhm.
do something with your life." So I was always involved. With regards to particular experiences,
But just one. There's got to be something that stands out. We get through, but we don't unhear and we don't unsee those things that. And the reason I always bring this up with certain guests, when depending on the topic, is because what I'm asking you for is a mile marker. It's because we a lot of people are afraid to go back to the proverbial scenes of certain what they see as crimes, if you will. I don't want to talk about that. Oh, it's too much. I was abused, or that was when I was going through the abusive relationship. He was beating me, but that is also in many cases where we find the resolve. We find those things that can only be found out of necessity
yeah,
to prove to get through. So, and I want people to understand, this isn't just a feel good book because you now have you're an MSW and this and the other. I'm sure at some point while you were penning this work, you went back in your mind, remember that hardest day.
Oh, I do. I have an example for you. I have
Okay.
boys, and this is in the book as well. An experience where the children's father, he was a heroin user, and he one time I believe I was in school or I was working, probably in school, and I had come home from school, and the car was gone. So he
Mm,
had been out with the two boys in
hmm.
the car. I don't know if he was getting high. I don't know what the situation was, but I could tell you that that particular day was the day that I said, this enough is enough. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, because a lot of things could have happened. They could have been part of the system. They could have been part of, what DHS, CPS, because this man had, intentionally taken these two children. Daniel was a baby. He was probably
On
about,
a dope run.
yeah, on I don't know what kind of ride.
What? But he was. I remember that in the book. I remember that part.
He was out for hours. So of course, as a mother, I was panicking, and mind you, in situations like this, I had been in that situation for some years. So it wasn't that I just decided to say, hey, you started using drugs, I'm out, peace. That wasn't the situation. But again, when you become parents, it's not about you anymore. It's about your
Mm,
children. So ensuring that those kids were safe was my number one priority. And that particular incident, my hair stands as I think about it, because anything could have happened. They could have died in a car accident. They could have been shot. God knows what could have happened. Thankfully, nothing happened. And thankfully, I was that kind of person that I was not misled in that direction as well, because I need to throw that in there. Sometimes as parents, you want to do what your counterpart is doing or what your partner is doing, and my life could have taken a different direction, but thankfully it didn't. So with
okay.
that particular, situation or incident, that was enough to say, hey, I need to ensure that my kids are safe at all times. So
Right.
that was an eye opener for me. And that's what spiraled into me leaving that particular situation and ensuring that my kids,
Okay.
were safe.
Way to go. Way to go. Hey, Jeanette, did you ever go to sleep? Did you ever go to sleep yourself as a mom, hungry, to make sure that your kids eat?
That's a funny story. Yes, the answer is yes, because I ensured that, of course, they ate, and if they ate, I was good. We sometimes go around telling a story, and this is the truth. The boys will tell you that, I would go to the washing machine just to scrounge for a quarter or two to go out and, if there was something that miraculously we found in the washing machine, a quarter or two, so that they could go get a snack at the corner store. But yes, I did come across that situation, but by the grace of God, I was able to go back to school. I was
Mhm.
able to get my college degree, and be able to be self-sufficient, get off the system, and do the best that I could as a single mother with the employment that I currently have. So
Right. And I got to say, I haven't met Lewis, but I do know Daniel, Danny, Dano, the boy of many names. And we've just recently started working together. And you should, if Lewis is anywhere close to how you've raised Dano, I got to say, you definitely need a standing ovation, because one of the greatest kids I think I've ever met, Dano.
thank
And I do mean that. I'm serious.
you.
I mean that. A
That-
special kid, going to do big things in this world. And I'm
thank you.
sure Lewis is pretty much of the same cloth.
Yes, Lewis is the same. And as a matter of fact, Lewis was always trying to be Daniel's protector. So I just want to share with parents too, while we're on that topic, that children shouldn't be in the parenting capacity.
Mm,
Children, not a husband, not a father. They should be children as well. So that's important to say too, because sometimes children establish those roles at a young age, and they should not. So let children be children, and not a father figure
hmm
to your other
hmm
children. So
Where'd you get the title? What talk about that? Where's mom? Question mark. There's a big story looming behind those two words. Tell us about that. And then if you could go right into, I asked you to find something that really stood out to you, one of your favorite or most moving um points in the book. And I think you have something for us. So tell us about the title, and then share with us what you got.
okay, well, the title "Where's Mom" I thought was just something so catchy. Where's mom? Every child in the world wants to know where their mother is.
Good point.
Am I right? Yes. Where is
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about anything, subjects, people want to talk about mothers, not again discounting fathers. Fathers are important, and my plan is to down the road write a book about fathers. But for right now, my target is single mothers.
Sure.
But I thought the title was catchy. Where's mom? Because it hits home. It hits you. Wow, where is my mom? Can I find her? Is she alive? Did she pass away? Have I shut the doors to her? Did she abandon me? It's deep. Those
It's
two
very
words,
deep.
it's deep. So I thought it was catchy, and I wanted to give viewers and people that buy the book the opportunity to say, wow, that's deep. Where's mom? Where is my mom? So it gives you an opportunity to seek inward and see your own life and where your mother is and the type of relationship you have with your mother, whether it's good or bad. So that's the topic. And I thought, yeah, people pick it up. Where's mom? Wow, they want to read more. What is this about?
Right.
Wow, that's all I have with that. Where's mom?
Okay. I like it. It makes sense. And that's a big deal. I just want to say, because for 32 years, that question loomed in my mind at least once every day. Where is my real mom? Where is she? And it was that presence because my mom told me when I met her, because they had told her that I was dead. And I asked her, how did you know I would come? She just said, I knew you would come. And she goes, are you kidding? I'm your mom. She goes, we were once one person. And if you weren't in this world anymore, I'd have been the first to know.
That's a
I never got that call from God. So I knew you were out there and I knew you would find me. And she meant it. So that is the thing about where's mom is what got me there. So I want to tell you were point on with that, spot on. So what do you got for us from the book? What's your favorite?
So I have two quotes, and then I have chapter 4, page 54, where I talk about. I'll just read it.
Okay.
History will repeat itself, and it will continue repeating itself until the cycle is broken. Somewhere and somehow, the vicious cycle has to be broken. Mom, it starts with you. Put in the time and effort that comes with childbearing. It needs to be done and correctly to break the cycle of children feeling alone and rejected, hence finding a path that may get them into trouble as they seek to fill that void.
Wow.
Yeah, it's again, bringing it back to the role of a mother being there for her children because what's to come if you're not? What will happen to your child? What is their destiny? What is their future? How are they going to play out in relationships? How are they going to play out with other human beings, other females? And again with the males, having that number one relationship with your mother, that female, is so vital because it does make a difference on how you become or what you become in the future.
I agree. I believe it's the grout
It is
that fills in between all of the other tiles that make up who we are in life.
Foundation. It's that cement.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I have a quote. I have two quotes actually that I appreciate. And one is from Frederick Douglass. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men.
Yep, I saw that in there.
I love
Very
that.
nice.
And then Jesse Jackson has one that says, children need your presence more than your presence. ENTS.
Right.
About presence. That's
not things.
That's physical stuff.
Children
That's right. Need time. They need to know that you're there for them at all times. Good times, bad times, sick, well, it does not matter. You need to be there. So I love that quote because parents, some parents think that by buying your children, things, you're buying their love. They don't care about that stuff. That's so important. And so
we got just a couple minutes left. We got a couple minutes left, and I don't want people to miss the opportunity. On the screen, it's been there for a few minutes. I'll leave it up even after we close the show. I'll leave it up. If you want to continue the dialogue with our guest today, Jeanette Ramos, or you need to know where you can go to get your own copy of the book, which is not just for you. If you've already raised your kids or don't have any, someone in your life could use this. Correct. Pick up a copy today and pass it on. Holidays are coming. Rexy09@yahoo.com is how you do that. And in conclusion, last question. is actually, can you provide the audience today with uh, let's say 3 tips on how to be the best parent you can be? Single, double parent household, whatever. Just parent.
3 tips. Okay, one tip would be don't give up.
Okay.
Don't give up. So that's the number one tip. Don't give up.
Probably
Number,
want to.
even if you want to, don't give
Yeah,
up.
because I bet there's times when you're like, I can't do this. I just can't do it.
You can't do it. But you
But you
can.
do it anyway.
Yes. Don't give up. Don't quit.
Don't give up.
Give your children the time that they deserve. Know what they're doing at all times, or at least as much as possible. Don't be the latchkey, leave them as the latchkey, constantly working. You're not figuring out what your kids are doing. Please
Okay.
spend the time with them. And thirdly, provide your children with positivity, say something nice about them on a regular. You're beautiful, you're smart. Never undermine or degrade a child, calling them names, anything negative. So, surround them with positive quotes, positive thoughts, positive words.
I got it. I agree. Well, man, this hour flew by. I feel like we were in a time warp. Thank you so much, Jeanette Ramos. This is the book, everybody. Where's Mom? You can get it at Amazon.com or
Sure.
use the connector on the screen, Rexy09 at Yahoo.com, and connect with Jeanette. And she's got some copies that she can get out to you right away. And I just want to thank you for writing the book. Thank you for raising 2 great boys. And thank you for all that you do in your field, your chosen field with social work. One of the greatest people in my life was my social worker, as I had all those years in the foster system. So hats off, kudos. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing, changing the world one child and one parent at a time.
Thank you
At
so much
Ramos.
for having me, Loren. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Welcome back anytime. Okay.
Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. God bless you. Everybody, that was Jeanette Ramos. I'm going to leave the connector up on the screen. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here for today's episode, Mondays, of Bathrobe Moments. Join us tomorrow when warrior strategist Robert Garcia joins us to do a lot of life-changing exercises with us tomorrow about how we can live our best life from inside to outside, outside to inside, up, down, and all around. He is the warrior strategist, Robert Garcia. And don't forget to mark your calendars for Rose Hill and Charlie Hill from AGT fame. It's coming Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time right here on Bathrobe Moments After Dark. I'm Loren Michaels Harris. Remember, get up every day when you open your eyes. Look for the first blessing of the day. You'll find it in the nearest reflective surface, or just find a mirror. Remember, if you can't see the blessing, how in the hell you gonna be the blessing? Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye.